Hey, good morning everyone, it's Greg from Burn Pit. We got a party tomorrow for my family, so I'm going to be smoking a pork butt, and I figure I just might as well hop on and share a little bit about what I'm doing with it. So here I got a 8.5 pound pork shoulder pork butt, no bone in, bone out, and I've already got it prepped a little bit here. I've already put olive oil all over it. So basically we're gonna keep it real simple. What I really like about pork shoulders and doing shredded pork is that it's really simple and really easy to do. It just takes a little bit of time monitoring it, but really after the prep and after you get it on the smoker, there's not much else that you kind of have to do except check in every once in a while. So I'm gonna smoke this thing probably today for about 8 hours. I got my Weber kettle warming up right now, so it's like 10 degrees here in Wisconsin, and I find my Weber kettle really keeps temp a lot better than my offset char griller. So I'm going to use that today. Hopefully it saves some fuel, but I got the Kingsford out there that is heating up right now in my chimney. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to rub it down a little bit. I've got our Burn Pit all-purpose barbecue rub, and I've mixed that with our Fire for Effect sweet heat. So this is probably my favorite of our rubs that we offer, the sweet heat, and I really like it on pork. I like it on pork and ribs especially. It has a nice little sweetness to it, but then also a little kick at the end. So that's my favorite, but I mix those two together, so it'll kind of give a real nice blend of just your traditional barbecue rub, and then also a little bit more sweetness and a little bit of heat. So basically for my rub, mix that stuff together, and we're going to keep it real simple, and I'm just going to sprinkle it nice and evenly over this pork shoulder here. Again, this has already got a little bit of olive oil all over it, so it'll help kind of be a binder. Now with the pork shoulder, I've also trimmed down a little bit of the fat. There's a nice fat cap on it, but I just trimmed it down a little bit. That fat will render as we're smoking it today. So I'm going to be smoking at about 250 degrees for about 4 hours. And then after about 4 hours, what I'm going to do is I got some butcher paper. I'm going to wrap it up nice and tight, and then I'm going to put it on for another 4 hours, probably between 225 and 250. I'm looking for an internal temperature today of about 195 to 205. That'll be real nice for us to be able to shred it real easily. It should really be real easy to shred it once we get to that temperature. So how I'm going to help keep temp as well and keep an eye on it, I've got a meter wireless probe. So I'll stick that in here. I've got an app that goes to my phone, real simple. It just helps keep an eye. Again, we have kind of two camps that say, hey, one cook the temperature, one cook the time. So I'll kind of be looking at both today, making sure I keep an eye on my temperature, but also I got kind of my time schedule planned out. So once I get it on the smoker, every hour I'm going to be spritzing it. I've got a nice barbecue spritz here. I really like fruit kind of blends when I do pork. The pork tends to absorb the fruit flavor quite a bit. So I've got one portion of apple cider vinegar, and then actually 2 portions of just regular apple juice. So some recipes call for 1 and 1. I like my pork a little bit on the sweet side, so I put a little bit more of the apple juice in, and not as much as the acidity from the apple cider vinegar. So once my smoker gets up to temp at around 250, I'm going to take this pork shoulder, I'm going to put it on the grates for 4 hours. The wood I'm going to be using today, again, I'm going to try and keep it within the apple flavor. So I've got some apple wood chips that I actually got for my birthday, and I'm excited to try them out, but they're from Cowboy. So I'm going to put some wood chips on there probably about every hour as well during that first few 4 hours there, so I can get a nice smoky flavor in there. Hopefully I'll be able to taste some of that apple from the spritz as well as from the smoke. So that's what I'm working on today. I'll be able to post some updates throughout the day here, but it's probably going to take close to 8 hours to do this 8-hour pork shoulder. Planning about an hour per pound. And that's what the probes are for as well. It'll help us keep an eye on the temperature make sure, you know, if we hit a stall, which we'll probably do, that make sure maybe we up the temp a little bit or we wrap it a little bit sooner. Just those types of things that help. But we'll be cooking a little bit from, also I see Robert there popping up here. Hey man, from Alabama, appreciate you watching. Yeah, no, I know you guys. It's a little bit cold down there as well. Hopefully you all are staying safe and warm down there. But we're gonna push through this coldness here in Wisconsin today. We're gonna put this pork shoulder on. But you know, let me know if you have any questions. Again, I love a pork shoulder and pulled pork for large parties. It's real easy to do. Today I'm also gonna be working on some other things, so I can have it on the smoker while I'm doing some other stuff for the business. So. Thanks for watching. Keep in touch with us. Let us know if you have any questions. Otherwise, I'll post updates throughout the day as we continue to monitor how the progress of the cook is going. So again, thanks a lot for everybody watching, and we'll talk to you soon. Hello everybody, it's Greg again. I just want to give you an update. It's been about an hour since I've had my pork shoulder on my smoker here. I'll show you my setup that I got going on. I actually set my Weber up for indirect grilling, so I'll give you a little bit of a demo of how I set that up. We had a great question from Philip about wood chips versus wood chunks, and I'll give a little bit of overview of that as well. My choice today was chips, and I'll kind of explain that. So let me turn this around. I'm about to so I don't normally leave my lid off too long, especially in the winter here, but I'll give you a brief shot at my setup here on my Weber. So as you can see, I got the beautiful red Weber here today, and this has been on for about an hour. This is my pork shoulder that I talked about earlier. You can kind of see my setup here. So I have it set up for indirect grilling. What I like about the Weber is that it has these at least at these grates, they have the flip up, so I can flip up. I can easily replenish my wood chips and then my coals, and I'm going to do that here shortly. But I also got the drip pan underneath. If you don't have wire grates where you have like the separators here, you can just use simple tinfoil thing there just to help separate the coals on each side. I'm actually going to cover this thing back up so it doesn't lose too much temperature, but I'm actually going to replace some of the coals there so I can keep that 225 to 250 in there, and then I'm going to replenish some of the wood chips. I'll probably take a handful of wood chips and put them on each side there. So when you're looking at kind of wood chips, you can see my setup. I have multiple smokers and stuff. And when I'm using, and I apologize for all the snow, we had 15 inches the other day, so I haven't had a chance to clean this up yet. But when I'm working with like my offset here, I'll use the larger types of wood for that. So that's when I'm going to use more of the chunks here, and then also I have some nice cherry wood that I'll probably trim down a little bit so I can put it into that firebox. So when I'm using longer and bigger smokes, I'll use those types of woods in the offset, because you do need a little bit more smoke to go through that barrel and out the chimney there. But then when I'm using my Weber, I tend to use either the smaller chunks or I'll use the chips, because inside the Weber, has it doesn't have as much space in there, so you're gonna get a lot of smoke regardless of whether or not you use chips or not. So that's just my opinion on it, and that's what I like to do. The great thing about grilling and smoking is that you can really try out and figure out what's best for you. What do you like? Because each type of wood's different, each type of how much smoke you use is different, so you play around with it and you find out what works for you. I really like the lighter smoke, so I like using lighter woods such as cherry, apple, pecan. Those are the lighter types of wood. If you like a heavier smoke, for if you have like a hearty beef, like brisket or something, you want to use mesquite or oak or something like that, you could totally do that as well. It's all kind of your personal preference. So that's kind of just an update here. It's a little cold, so I'm going to finish up replacing some of these coals here. I'm going to spritz down with my apple cider vinegar apple juice mix, and then I'm going to just keep watching it all day, and I'll be out here about every hour checking the temperatures. I'm really happy with where we're at right now with the internal temperature. We're right on track for, we're right on track for being done, early afternoon, mid-afternoon sometime. But yeah, I'll post some updates as we go here, but I'll just keep checking in on this. If you have other questions, feel free to reach out. Yeah, and I'm seeing Robert again. He smokes during the winter, but having trouble keeping the temps right now. How can I fix it? So again, it's difficult. It depends on the smoker. Again, sometimes when you're using charcoal, especially here when it's 10 degrees, you have to find something that works for you. Sometimes you have to maybe move it into like a sheltered area where you have a setup there, obviously making sure you're not doing it inside. But I know people who have like Traegers and things like that where they put like it's almost like a blanket over it. They make those. For me, using my Weber, I tend to use that because it keeps heat a lot better than my char grill or my drum smoker there. But you might have to replenish those coals or that wood or whatever you're using a little bit more during the winter than you would say like in the summer. Like I tend to find that my Weber gets really hot during the summer because it's really keeping that heat. So I have to maybe not use as much fuel. So again, it's kind of the beauty of trying out different things, is finding out what works for you. For me, in the winter, my Weber works really good. In the summer, I'd probably go to my char grill or something else because, that just from the ambient heat being outside, it's different. So that's kind of my recommendations. Play around with it, find something that works. If somebody has a grill or something that you have as well down there, ask them how they keep their temperature. But a great question. If you find a good answer, let me know, because we're always looking too. So, but I appreciate you all watching. I'm gonna get this thing back up to temperature a little bit, and then I'll check back in with you all later on. Hey all, it's Greg here, giving you an update on the pork shoulder I'm smoking here. I'm about to open up the grill since the first time, since about an hour. I did have some temperature issues about 2 hours ago where it was kind of lower than I wanted to, got under that 225. So I had to do some troubleshooting, cleaned out some of the ash in there, open up the vents a little bit, get the heat going back up. But now we're in a good spot. I actually hit a stall too at about 156 for about an hour. But I just got up to 160 internal temp. I'm about to take a look at it, and then I'll tell you what we're going to do next. All right, so here we are. Got a nice bark on there. Internal temp, like I said, is about 160. So what I'm going to do next here, I'm not going to keep the lid off too long, just because I've been having some heat issues in there. But what I'm going to do next is I'm going to spritz it one more time with my apple cider vinegar and my apple juice mixture, and then I'm going to wrap it in tinfoil. I initially wanted to do butcher paper, but today I feel like I'm going with my gut, and I'm making an in-game decision to go to tinfoil, wrap it in aluminum foil, and that's where it's going to sit for probably another 4 hours until I get an internal temp around 195. I actually got my thermometer set at 203 to pull it off on, and then we'll let it rest for about 20 minutes, and then I'll come back live and I'll shred it live so you get to see the first time with me. But that's where we're at right now. I have an internal temp of 160. I'm going to wrap it with aluminum foil. I'm going to heat it back up to between 230 250 internally in my grill, and then that's where we're going to be for the next 3-4 hours. I'm going to keep watching the temp, make sure we're doing well, but I'm pretty happy with where we're at right now. We're kind of on schedule. It fluctuated a little bit, but I'm happy with where we're at. So we'll check back here in a little bit. Push the button without telling me. Come on. Okay. Hey everyone, it's Greg. We pulled it off. This is our smoke pork shoulder. We've been smoking all day. I got my two helpers with me, Owen, who's behind the camera, who didn't tell me I was on the camera, and then I got Everett here, who's going to help me shred this thing. So it's been resting for about 20 minutes. I pulled it off when it was 203. We're going to open it up and see what it looks like, okay? So today's cook was about 6.5 hours. I was planning for 8, so it sped up a little bit once I wrapped it, which is okay because we're actually not going to be eating this until tomorrow. So after I shred it, we're going to put it in some containers. We're going to put it in the fridge, and then we're going to have this. We're going to reheat it tomorrow in the oven for our party. Whose party is it?
The Fischers.
It's a joint birthday party for the family, right? Ooh. Smelling really good. Looking really good. Pulling it off here. Lots of good juices. Excuse me. I'm just going to wash up here. So, how we're going to shred this and test it out, hopefully this falls apart, it should just really tear easily. I got some Pampered Chef claws. This is the first time I'm using them, so we're going to check it out and see how well it does. But hopefully this thing just tears apart nice and easy. And look at that. I want you to get in here a little bit. Get into the meat here. Look at how easy that's starting to tear apart. And again, we cooked this on the Weber in 10-degree weather for about 6.5 hours today. We smoked it for about 4 using apple wood chips. And we wrapped it once it got to about 160 internal temp. And we waited till it got up to about 203 before we pulled it off. And then we let it rest for 20, and now we're tearing it apart. Go ahead and back up a little bit, Owen. Go ahead and give it a shot. Everett, tearing it apart with the claws. Keep it on the tray. Super juicy, super moist. Again, we used a combination of our Fire for Effect Sweet Heat and our All Ration All-Purpose Barbecue Rub. Combine those two, we layered it on there. I'll probably put some on tomorrow too. Once we put it back in and heat it back up, I'll put a little bit of apple juice, I'll put a little bit more rub on there, mix it all up, and then we'll have our sauces available so people can sauce it how they want to. But I think this is going to turn out really good. You want to give it a try, Everett? Okay. Pick out a small piece. He washed his hands, don't worry. So it's probably going to be a little hot. Don't put it back in there. Is it hot?
No, but it's good.
It's really good?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Good. Well, I'm going to give this one a try. I won't eat his, but let's see a nice juicy piece here. You can see the red kind of smoke ring that we have going on here. Really juicy. I really like the sweet heat flavor because it brings it out. You get a little bit of sweetness in the beginning, but then you get a little bit of a nice heat at the end. It's not overwhelming, but we're going to continue to shred this up. Any questions that come across there, Owen?
Yeah, someone asked, did you deliver? Do you deliver?
Do I deliver? Yeah, well, not yet, but we got some things cooking here. But this is really simple. Go to your local grocery market, find a sale. If they have sales on, pork shoulders, pork butts. Like I said, we've been cooking this all day. I had to keep a little bit of an eye on it because we're so cold here, but this is one of those things that you can do all day and have some fun with it, try new things. But we'll wrap this up. We're going to shred it some more. We're going to, again, package it up, and we're going to reheat it tomorrow for our party that we're having. But if you have any other questions, anything else, anything you'd like to see us cook, let us know. We're open to ideas. We got some ideas ourselves, but we want to make sure that we can get your voices heard if you have some things that you want to see how it's cooked. So thanks again for watching today. I really appreciate it. Again, thanks for following the page and following what we're doing here. If you have any questions or other comments, feel free to let me know. But again, thanks again. Thanks, Everett. Thanks for helping out. Thanks, Owen. After school, appreciate it. See you guys later.